Agetovnt. Last night we began discussing the Indian of Mitzrayim, why there has to be a hefsek between the Meach and the Lev, between the Seichel and the Midas, and as a result, why this Indian of Klippus Mitzrayim, which it comes from this vacuum, this Ayin, which there is between the Meach and the Lev, so it creates an opportunity for Klippet to be Yenik, and that's Parei Esiyas Ha'eref, which is Kilonemer, the back of the neck, the Yenike, and from there comes the general Yenik Sechitzein to Mitzrayim, and the result is all the Midas Rois, the various Klippes which come as a result of the Meach not being Mashpia on the Lev. Why is it? Why should there be this thing melachatchila of a hefsek between the Meich and the Lev? So that's what we went through last time, that it's designed like this melachatchila because Meich and Lev are different, and like the Rebbe's Meisif are opposites. Umemele, between a yesh and a yesh there has to be a ein be'emtza. Now, this klal, that between a yesh and a yesh there has to be ayin be'emtza, has to be understood. Meichet. Why can't I have a yesh? And from that yesh, we progress and move to another yesh. So this is what we want to discuss tonight, the Havana of this klal. And like we're going to see, there's verschiedene Fanim to understand it, and once we understand it the way we're learning it in this Maimer, then it's going to be necessary to add also Tisefes Hasbara, like the Rebbe Nishma does in the Maimer in Tafresh Nun Hey. So first let's begin with just going over the Dugmois which are brought in Chassidus here and are brought in other places. In order for the Keichet Meach to function properly, so we take a garin, we put it in the aretz, and in between has to be the recoven agarin. The seed has to rot. Al derech zeh we see that in the process of seichel, that when a person understands something, in order for him to leave one way of understanding and come to a new way of understanding, there has to be a ishtemim kishah chade. There has to be a Kilo Neymar, he's shocked. That's what Ishtemim means. He's paralyzed in his place, to allow for a new svara or a new outlook to come to him. And al derech zeh we have in Aveda. There's in the beginning of Hemshech Samach Vav, describes that if a person will sich stellen davenen, there has to be the keved resh. The keved resh means that the bittul. And al derech zeh in limud atere b'chlal, the Rebbe said very often, Psach libi b'seir hasecha has to come first with an v'nafshika v'lakiltiyah. First there has to be a bittul, a verlorenkeit, in order to be able to have this giddah. There has to be a ein be'emtza. And al derech zeh is in the yachas of a Rafta Talmud. Like we know there has to be svasesef mit vesmer, a Talmud sitz far arav, mit a bittul. The limud atere, when a person is within himself, also has to be in be'ema, be'yira, b'resibazir, and al derech zeh, whenever we're discussing a transition from one thing to another, there always has to be this ein be'emtza. In the Maimer Nun Hey, he brings another dogma, which is interesting, that the Rebbe does not bring, of Sheva Yipul Tzadik V'Kam. A person in Aveda, he goes through one stage, and he wants to reach another stage, so there has to be a Yerida B'Emtza, what we call a Yerida L'Tzerech Aliyah. So there's no such thing as a person going from one Madreika to the other without having some kind of retreat or drop in the middle, a Yipul Tzadik, and then V'Kam Tzahecher Madreika. So the question is, La'achre kol zeh, why? We've proven that these are the facts, but what's the sibba for that? It's counterintuitive. Helam should bring Gilui. A Yerida should bring Aliyah. L'chura, the way every growth should work is like steps in a ladder. If I go up to one madrega, then in order to progress to the next madrega, the first step was a step in the right direction. So there should be more and more. If a person learns, the more he knows, the more he could know. The pashtus. Es fragt sich der Scheile, was ist der Havana in der Etzem-Sach? Now, before we go into the Etzem HaHasbara, let's just bring in a few more dugmois, like it's brought in Samach Vav, and we're going to use these dugmois to try clarifying. It says that between one Gan Eden and another Gan Eden, the Neshama has to go up, there's a Gan Eden of Ilam HaSiyah, and he wants to go up to the Gan Eden of Ilam HaYetzirah, or from Ilam HaYetzirah to Ilam HaBriyah, he has to go through a process called Nahar Dinur. Meaning, he has to be nizbatel, somehow he has to be washed, cleaned, and then he could be ela to the higher Gan Eden. Al derech zeh, it says that for the Reb Zera, in order for him to learn Talmud Yerushalmi, he had to forget Tzomeh Tanise, in order to forget Talmud Bavli, in order they should be able to be a kele for Talmud Yerushalmi. So, Bekitzer, we want to understand what is the Havana in all of these inyan. So let's begin with the inyan Vida says fakert. We have a fakertical, and maybe let's try compare. There is a klal that between an ayin and an ayin there has to be a yesh be'emtza. What does that mean? There's no such thing as transitioning from one ayin to another ayin without having something in between. The Havana would be bepashtus. Behekti. Why do we find that chesed precedes gvura? First you have to have chesed and gvura. In Havana, chesed is not higher than gvura. These are two tnuas and nefesh. Bezin shorshe yicholti lahor and yicholti shalei lahor. So it's a tnu of gil and a tnu of helam. One is higher in elikus, one is higher in Havana and nefesh adam. Elamai. We always say gili has to come before helam, because if not, then there's no chales, there's no gather of helam. You can't go over to somebody and say, I'm not going to give. No. Or what are you being misyachas? If you're saying not, obviously the hanocha, the muskul rishon was that, yeah. The only chales of a tnuah of shlila is when there is a tnuah chiyuvis beforehand. You can't go over to somebody and tell him, no, I'm not talking to you, unless you were supposed to be talking to him. Besignen achid. If not, there's no difference between before you saying no and after you're saying no, because before there was not and now there's not. Elamai, there has to be a pesayeh, was auf dem kannst du sagen an nicht. So the tnuah of shlila is misyaches only to tnuah chiyuvis. Now that's obviously a technicality. That doesn't mean that be'etzem chiyuv is heched and shlila. Verkehrt. Sometimes we say shlila is edele von chiyuv. Depends on what. But in gilui, in expression, the only way shlila could function is la'achar chiyuv. And that's why b'payil we always say gvura comes after chesed, and al derech zeh we say yicholti lahir, yicholti shalei lahir. So even though it's two tnuas in yecheles, the over there it's bechlal not two inyanim, still the yisod is lahir, and then I could say shalei lahir. B'payil. So al derech zeh, I would have to touch over here. What's the touch that has to be between an ayin and an ayin? There has to be a yesh be'emtza. Pashat Mitzias. There's no such thing as saying another ayin if you didn't have a yesh in the middle. If not, then it's a hemshech of the same ayin. Se gewen nein. Sagst du weiter nein. Is wieder nein derselbe nein. In was besteht? How's it gonna categorize itself as a new no? Because it's a no on a yes, on something. You are limiting something. You're being shelul something. Pashtus. So this is the Havana, and this is the pashtus of why between ayin and ayin I have to have a yesh be'emtza. So l'chore, we could take the same path, the same approach to understanding why between yesh and yesh there has to be a ayin be'emtza. Al derech. What's going to be magdir that this new yesh is a nayazach? If there was nothing cutting it apart, if there was no ayin be'emtza, then it's a hemshech of the same thing. Al derech v'lei mamish. But like you have in B'yemei Bikurim and Dalet l'mashal, you have very often that in order for Bina to begin, Chachma has to retreat, has to recede. If there's a gili of the first Tenuah, the second Tenuah can't begin unless the first one it goes back and gives them space. Pashtus. So there has to be a Tenuah of ayin, or there has to be, over here we're saying even more, not just that he's retreating, there has to be taka, a vacuum. You say, this stopped ad kantove, and from now we begin another thing. So there has to be a ayin be'emtza in order for there to be a hagdor of the nayazach. So al derech zeh, our taich in the yachas of mechen to midas. In order for midas to be, there has to first be that mechen stops existing. From the transition from mechen to midas has to be, first of all, there's an ayin. Nicht mechen, ishtemim keshachade. Now there's a vacuum. Now it stopped being mechen, now we could begin having midas. The emes is that there are places, like in Tzarku Peches, or different places where it says that the reason why something has to be mugder, it's not just for the second yesh, it's even for the first yesh. In other words, if something doesn't have hagdaras, where I say ad kan tovi v'sulei, it's not just the second mitzias can't exist, the first mitzias, he doesn't have hagdaras, he doesn't have ktsovis, but mehu nitvis. In what way do you exist? If there's no place where you could say that you don't exist, so in what way do you exist over there? Yeah, everything must have its boundaries or its ways of being nitvis, its ktsovs, its dimensions. So bekitzer, in order to be able to have mechen and midas functioning properly, how could midas begin if there's an ayin be'emtza? And we're saying even more, it could be even for mechen to be. There has to be the hagdara, as dos is a mechen dikezach. This is the world of mechen. A mechen has agbolos. This is past in mechen, and this not. Only if there's a ayin kilo nemer that follows mechen. There's a world where we say over here there's no mechen. Then I could have a hagdara. Dos is a svar. If maybe just the amchashe. If anything would be allowed into the world of seichel, every svara would be okay, then the world of seichel doesn't really have any weight. Only if you could say, no, this doesn't belong in my world. There's an ayin, which, there's, over here it's not. Then I could say, hagdara, das is the Welt von seichel, dort in the Welt von midas. These are two different worlds. So it's negeya to have an ayin band. But obviously that's not good enough. It's a true art, and this is going to be useful in many places to understand why I have to have this ayin between yesh and yesh. But over here now, Maimer, it's clear that what we're saying that you need to have an ayin be'emtza is not just that the ayin is in order to create a space that yesh, the new yesh could begin, nor wie the lashon is that der ayin is the achane for the yesh. When we say that there has to be the shtem k'shachade in order to be mikabel seichel, or we say that there has to be the nahar dinur in order to be able to the next world, it's as a hachana. The ayin is what's creating the what makes him into a keli, and what we call a klirekon, in order to be able to produce or to grow into this new. Olenyanenu, the meitzer agar, which we're discussing over here, is not just a technicality to separate between meich and midas. It's kilo neymar der meitzar. This place of Helen is what allows the midas to become midas, and it's a keli, it's a t'nai for the next stage. Is hadrukushel duchte for was? Why, in order to be able to have this new inyan, I have to have Helen. Okay. Laat me gehen weiter. In order for any gili to be, there has to be bitl. Wie der Lashon in Perek Vav, in Perek Chav Beis, ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu sheira ele b'makom shebatel etzleh. Bitl is a t'nai for gili. B'pashtos. In order for me to accept anything, there has to be a keli. If I'm a yesh, if I'm behispashtus, I'm not allowing this in. Like we say, ein ani v'hu yechelim lader. Or a balgaive is deichik rag le'ashchine. It's not a punishment that the Eibush is saying, I'm not going to come and live with a balgaive. Ein ani v'hu yechelim. It can't. The Eibush is enim levade. If you're not allowing, you're not accepting that, then you're deichik rag le'ashchine, you're pushing him out. You're not allowing him to come here. And al derech says in every gili, in order for there to be a gili of seichel, there has to be, as I have made myself a klirekon, I've allowed this in to mitzal. If you sagt klirekon is machzik. Is al derech says verstandig over here in all of ours in all of our inyanim. In order for midas to begin, you have to have a shlila, a bitl of meichen. In order for the Talmud to be Eila, to Talmud Yerushalmi, I have to be nizbatel, make myself empty of Talmud Bavli. And al derech zeh, all the other dugmayos, there has to be the Koven Agarin, and there has to be the Nahar Dinur. Aber da hebt sich an a klotzkash. And this is mamish like even a narische kash. Eibazeh. So why do I have to have the gili first and then the ayin in order to be able to have the gili? Let there be lechatchila ayin. In other words, let's just be mavchish. Reb Zeira had gelernt Talmud Bavli, then forgot Talmud Bavli, and durch them is geworden a kele of Yerushalmi. What would be if he would never learn Talmud Bavli? Then he would be even better kele of Yerushalmi. Then he would be l'chure no stira to Yerushalmi at all. There's no chashash that I could remember anything. Is the reina amoritz. Always suggesting that. Lafida, what we're saying over here, that's what we're saying. The less I know, the better. The more the reik I am, the more clear reikon, bin ich mer akel. So erstens, that's obviously a narishkeit. even in our sugya, it doesn't make sense. Between Meichen and Midas, are we saying that if I wouldn't have Meichen lachatchila, then it would be even more space for Midas? It's not true. The Midas are a product of the Meichen. We're not saying that the Midas what we're looking to do is take the Meichen out of the picture. Clearly, the limud at Bavli is necessary. First, you have to learn Bavli, and then you could be able to learn Yerushalmi. As is mashman samachvav b'pashtus. And if we need to make a cheshbon to prove that it has to be that way, so back to our dugmois in Gan Eden. We say that if we want to be Eila from Gan Eden of Eila Ma'asiyah to Gan Eden of Eila Yitzirah, there has to be an Ayin B'Emetz, the Nahar Dinur. Then from Yitzirah to Eila Ma'briya, there has to be again the Nahar Dinur, to forget the Giluyim of Yitzirah, to forget that whole Madrege, in order to be Eila to Eila Ma'briya. If it's true that the point is just to make a vacuum, to be able to make a space, that I'm not in the way, I'm an allowing for Gilui, say Bazay, from where I'm holding my Chalten Elam Asi, Ich will Aruf gain, I could go straight to Elam Abriya. I have a Nahar Dinur. It's that I don't know anything. I'm not even choshud with having any of the inyanim of Yitzirah, which are a stira to Briya. Why not? Because obviously the way you Eila from Elam Asiyah to Elam Abriya has to first be that you went to Elam Yitzirah, and that's going to be a achana to be able to come to Elam Abriya. So we're back to square one. Back to our most basic question. Why do I have the Ayin B'Emetz? Mimonavshach. On the one hand, this is clear as the Ayin is the taich. I'm making a bittul. And bittul makes me into a kid. Like Svaseisav Netvas Meir, that's what's going to make me into a kid. Le'idach, I have to have a seichel. I have to be something. This same Talmud that has to be Svaseisav Netvas Meir has to also be as a kop kem nish aruf shtam. If he doesn't have seichel, then he's not going to be able to learn. So there has to be both over here. Al derech zeh, I have to be a person which learned Bavli in order to learn Yerushalmi. Le'idach, you have to forget Bavli to learn Yerushalmi. So which one is it? You have to have been in Elam Yitzirah to be in Elam Abriya, but you have to have forgotten Yitzirah. You have to go through Nahar Dinur to go to Elam Abriya. So which one is it? How's it go together? Is Muzmin dot taichin azeh? We know that in Chassidus, when we discuss bittul, generally speaking, bittul can mean two things. First of all, bittul means nishkin stira to the emes, not to be behispashtus, to be bekivutz, to allow the truth. If we're talking in seichel, or if we're talking in bittul to the Eibishter and anything, to allow myself to sich übergeben, the truth should be nizgal. The problem is that bittul gufe could also be a tzir. Wie the Lashon is benegeh in Perek Lamed Hey, benegeh the tzaddik, that he's also a yesh. Wie the Lashon achsiz is a yesh misha'ev. Bedakus is a rechta metziz. In other words, like what we call in Meiten Tavshin Vav, a metziz shall bittul. Who is he? He is bittul. Like he describes over there in Tavshin Vav, he says, you could have a person which Kolin Yani is bittul. And therefore, the more bittul it becomes, the more metzias it becomes. Because this is my whole Indian. So therefore, if I'm successful at my bittul, then I've become a successful metzia, because this is who I am. Umemele, I become more metzias. Elamai, the metzias itself is mechayiv bittul. So it's a vicious cycle. The metzias makes bittul, and the bittul makes metzias. That's called bittul metzias. So my metzias is a metzias of bittul. Is sof. Is der bittul as echet bedakus a gewisse metzias. And that's also going to be a stira to the gil. Now, it's a gili of an inyan naila beyeser, a real inyan. I have to also eradicate that dakus dike yeshes, which is the yeshes of bittul. So how could I do that? The only way I could do that is work in a process. First of all, I have to have a metzias. This metzias has to be a metzias which is a metzias of a makabel, a metzias of bittul. This metzias of bittul I'm now going to be shayla. So there's two stages kilo neimer in bittul in order to be makabel the emes. Erstens darf ich sein bittul, which is like seichel, I'm looking for the truth. That gufa I'm now going to be shayla because I want to bring out the real bittul. Now what happens if somebody comes and says, Ich bin lechatchila bitteldik. I'm just stamme empty kele. So over here, das gar nicht herausgebracht that there's a problem with the edelkeit of the Yesh Mishaev. Because you stamme finster amoritz. In other words, let's say it sharper. The reason why I could be mekabel from Talmud Yerushalmi is not because I know Bavli. It's because I forgot Bavli. I have to know Bavli and forget Bavli. Forgetting Bavli was brengt arois as ich azasort bittel, which is mevatel a tzir of bittel. That's real bittel. That's what makes me a kelef Yerushalmi. Somebody who never learned Bavli and he says I'm stam bottle. Meicha taste that you're bottle. It could be that you're a kelef. You're looking for something. But we weren't shayla that tnuah of bittul, the bittul of looking for something. The only way it could be is in these two stages. Kommt es als erst darf man sein a Talmud. And this Talmud we have to have a ayin be'emtza zwischen der Talmud in order to be able to go to the next stage. Und lefi ze ist verstandig the Nahardinur und sie verstandig the Rebzeire forgetting Tam Bavli, as verstandig the Rikoven Hagarin, which Hagarin is, in Yoni is Tzmiche, but that gufa I have to be shaylu in order for allow to a real gili of the Yeshme'ain of the Kechet Tzemeach, and all that is everything. I'm always looking for a tnuah of bittul, and that tnuah gufa to be mevatel in order to make me a keli for the real gili. L'chure, this word is what the Rebbe said in Tovshin Yud Ches. In the end of Tovshin Yud Ches, there's a Maimon Tiku B'Chedesh, Nitzavim Chav Ches, the Nitzavim Tovshin Yud Ches. And it is really the beginning of a Hemshech which continued throughout Tishrei, and they went throughout Tovshin Yud Tes, Tishrei Yud Tes, describing the Inyan of Kli Reikon. How a person ought to be mekabel something and muzayin falor. Bein advarim, the Rebbe said over there in the end of the Maimon Tiku, Tovshin Yud Ches, the Rebbe said an interesting thing. Kli reikon machzik, kli mole eni machzik. Aber mitzvus HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it says it's verkehrt. A kli mole is machzik, and kli reikon eni machzik. So the Rebbe said, from them is verstandig, that to be able to be mekabel, to say, mekabel alakus, you have to have the two inyanim bevasachas. You have to say be a kli reikon and say be a kli mole. In order to explain this, the Rebbe said you have to have side inyan from a cup kemish daruf stand, so you have to have a cup. Or leidoch you have to be a kli reikon, the full of verlorenkeit von a Talmud Laraf. And both of these inyanim have to be in the same place. So fragt sich the Shaila, what does it mean that both of the inyanim are in the same place? I've one tnuah of mole and reikon. So the ACs over there were very, very bekitzer. What does it mean? Lefi our discussion over here, maybe that's pshat. Says no reikon, says stam reikon, which is stam, the way things are in Welt. Midas shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, du willst nehmen a inyan von alle kos, then I have to have two inyan. I have to be a kli mole, And that kli mole gufa have to be shadel to make that reikon. But the reikon is in the mole. The kli reikon is coming to be shadel. Der mole. What is that kli mole? That I am looking, as a Talmud, ich such mekabel sein, der Tnu von a Kop, was sucht lernen, was sucht nehmen, that bitl am being shadel, because it's a yesh mishaev. It's soft a Tnu of a metzias of bitl. So the mole and the reikon is b'makim mechad. We could return to our Indian of the Mitzvah. The Sikkum, we went over here through Kamei Fan. First of all, we suggested that there has to be Ein Be'emtze technically, which is true. Of course, there has to be between Meichen and Midas, there has to technically be some kind of Ad Kantov. Aber das ist noch nicht a Hachon. How's that making me a Keli for the next stage? Weiter gelernt, that the kavone in the Ein Be'emtze is that it's the Ein is a bittul which allows for the gil. Aber sof, ebazei, why do I have to have a psemetzias which I'm being shelo? Let me just have bittul. If I wouldn't have had meichen lechatchila, so it would be noch mehr Ein, would be a kil from it. So that's why we're learning now, no. It has to be a Ein which is shelo layesh. And that's the taich. The Meitzer Agorin, as is noch dem was a mensch hat seichel, and he has the tnua of Meichin, which is a tnua of Bittel. We're coming to be shadel that in order to come to a higher place, the place of Mitz. Yeah. But here comes the obvious question. Since when is Midas higher than Meichin? This would all be true between Bavli going up to Yerushalmi. Between one svara to go up to a higher place in Keich HaMaskal, I need the Stem Keshachad. Zwischen Meichin and Midas is a Chayiride. Like we were saying before, Meichin is La'atzme, Midas is Azulas. Meichin is Dveikus, Midas is Hergish Atzme. So it's a Yeride. So the answer to this, Zog der Rebbe Nishma Seiden, in the Maimen and Nun Hei, bepashtus. We know that even though Midas begoli, Midas is lower, Bisharsha Midas is higher. Wie me sagt, Zo ba'atika achid v'tali. Zo Midas are rooted or are hanging in Atik, which is higher than the mocker of Meich. This expresses itself in Kamei. We see b'metzias, Meichin is higher than Midas. But if you want to get somebody involved in something, you want the person, you have to get him emotionally involved. You need his Midas. Who is the person himself? That's his Midas. The Rebbe spoke about this a few times. Ki ha'adam eitz asad. Tzemeach is the world of Midas. Just like Tzemeach grows and contracts, so too Midas are constantly in a mode of growth. They're not stable. Midas meloshen medida. They're constantly, their measure is changing. That's the emotional turbulence a person goes through the whole time. Ava never stays the same. Now we see that Tzemeach is rooted deeply in the ground. It won't budge from its place. That's a strong tree, because its roots grow very deep. The Midas are the same. The Midas are the person. When I say Erez Mensch, what am I referring to? His Midas. A person's character, his Midas, are very hard to change. You could change someone's mind, but you can't change his Teva, his Midas. Erez Isha Ava, or the Isha V'yire, this is the way his personality is. So, say if I want to take the person, game. What's the handle for the etzem hanefesh? Through the midas. Say, if I want to see where's the takeif in the person that is not changing, it's also in the midas, because the midas have a kesher, it's connected to higher than seichel, to the etzem hanefesh in an indirect way. It has that kesher. Umemela comes another thing. Because midas is the person, it's going to come out in Meise. Meichin erkennt es wissen, but like we said, it's bekrir, it's erweist. Because midas is the person, so it's going to take the whole person, including all his keiches, even his Kilian Meise. Is bekitzer. What's the answer to the question? Meichin has to be a meitzer agarim because there's aliyah l'churetz yiride. The answer is enachanami. Meichin to midas is a yiride, but the muhus of midas is really an aliyah. So really, what's happening when the meitzer agarim is we are shutting out, we're being shallow, the gili of meichin, the bittul of meichin, and we're telling him real bittul, meaning real connection to etzem hanefesh. If you want to get to the real person, that's the vashevesa levavecha. That's the where you're going to find the etzem of the person is going to be in his midas. In order to do that, we're going to have to go through a process. First of all, the bittul of meichin, then shelo this bittul gufa, in order to come to the gili of midas. On kol zeh is the way the Maimer is bepashtus and Tofresh Nun. However, when the Rebbe said the Maimer in Tofresh Yutes, there were kama chilukim. There were things that the Rebbe didn't say, which are in the Maimer. There's things, shinuyim, different l'shenis, and it looks like that the Rebbe is going over here in a different mahalach. It says it's the same basic Maimer with another avenue, with another direction, which Mr. Shem will see tomorrow night. Have a good night.